But okie dokie, that is Shoals done. Not too shabby. We even managed to hold on to that scroll of blinking that I was just sure we were gonna throw into one of those nasty scenarios we found ourselves in. But I think with that, we'll probably head off to our vault's entrance and see how things are kicking over in that department. We can also do another quick check-in on our skills. Transmutations is coming up. So that means that probably Dragon Form is fully online here if we so desired. Where are you? Oh yeah, 4% failure rate? That's not bad at all. But Storm Form at 71, so it's not going to take a lot of air training to get that going. It has decent defensive capabilities on it, as well as that lightning attack. It kind of falls off by Zot, but that's fine. We can always just forget it and learn something else if we so desire. Why not season this DCSS dish with some Zom spices? RNG's flavorful, delicious. And emphasis on not. Kind of makes sense, trying to account for the ideas. You are technically fighting moving targets. Exactly. Radiate is pretty fun. It does good damage and malmutates enemies, but contaminates you, and as it is transmutation spell, miscasting it can double that contamination. I think a Radiate is great. I think it's a little... Again, don't tell the devs. I think it's a little too powerful. I want it on basically any spellcasting character, but it does come with that associated risk, and I've definitely had a few characters not die to the encounter that they got through using Irradiate, but instead get some nasty malmutations or nasty mutations added in from going over yellow contamination, and so that gives it some interesting complexities for sure. Why, hello there. This random wraith just wandering around. Nice to see you. But Dr. Bart, you're a big fan of tight bell curves or just flat damage values personally? You'd rather take 30 to 50 than 1 to 100? I feel you there. There are certain cases where I think I could come to agree with that. I think it's the gambling part of me that just wants to roll those die. Ooh, interdimensional caravan. And we have one magic mapping scroll for just such an occasion. Perfect. And I think it's like this one, right? Some of these are shops. Some of these are an interdimensional caravan. Which to which is the tricky part. Let's also switch over to that Ring of Willpower that we've been carrying around so that we don't immediately get Sentinel's mark placed upon me. And we'll just slowly but surely make our way down over here and see how things are looking. At least all of the potential options for the interdimensional caravan are relatively close together, so I don't feel too risky by checking it out. Let's see, that's a shop. Good to know. I think it is going to be this one. Oh wait, very distant bell? Well, I hate to break it to you, kiddos, it's over here. In that case, oh, we'll just walk there with no events whatsoever. Perfect. Exactly how we drew it up. Boss level, wouldn't it be fun if they expanded on radiation as a damage type with resistances? Maybe add in some dwarf machinery, like a mech enemy that's powered by a mini reactor, blows up, causing a radiate on death or something. Careful, don't give the devs too many ideas. They already added the rad roach, which I've since come to realize isn't that tough to deal with, but in my first encounter against, I was terrified by the radiation damage coming from the enemy side of things, because that's not fair. I'm supposed to have the overpowered spells, not them, you know? My house, my rules. I'm the one child that you were friends with in elementary school who you had to lose against in video games, because it was my house. Okie dokie. Actually, in that regard, I think I remember having a friend in elementary school that anytime we were at his house, we had to do whatever he wanted because it was his house. And anytime we were at my house, we had to do whatever he wanted because he was the guest. And you know, that's just the right thing to do. Nice way to get to have your cake and eat it too, right? Hydrosaur has deterministic damage, like there's one player per player, or there is one player flare though that deals random, but you've done just fine without ever using it, or one weapon per player. Yeah, that's definitely interesting. There have been a few kind of full deterministic games that I've enjoyed in the past. I'm trying to remember. There was like a competitive... I don't think it was card-based, but it was like a Hearthstone / MTG style game. But it was purely deterministic, where your power levels like ranked up on set turns, and you always knew exactly how much damage was coming either way. Yeah, Prismata sounds right, Colgate. I remember enjoying Prismata for a decent while, because I like doing basic math. I think I'm self-admittedly a bit of a math nerd who actually just enjoys doing math. I know, freak of nature and all of that. But I definitely enjoyed that game in that regard. Let's see, we just got Sandblast and Stone Arrow. Unfortunately, not exactly the difference makers we were hoping for in life. We'll check out this shop. Ooh, definitely buy some Scrolls of Fear. I'll even buy another Butterfly Scroll, because I am personally a big fan of that spell. It's gotten me out of some nasty jams in the past. I have faith that it will very likely do so again in the future. Okay, let's kill off the little slimes so they don't get reabsorbed into Big Boy. Fantastic. Let's see what else is available for us. I don't think we really need any more spells. I'm pretty happy with our current selection, our current repertoire that we have available to us. Take a quick peek. Yeah, again, turns out on the one run where we hedge our bets in terms of finding statue form, I'm just finding it everywhere throughout the entire game. And if I tried Hydro Slayer, you think I'd like it as well? I haven't. I took a look at it, I think, a while back, from probably, if I had to guess, a suggestion from you, or you mentioning it. But it's been on my list as something to potentially try out in the future. I unfortunately don't have a lot of extra free time to try out new games these days, but if I do ever want a bit of a break from DCSS, I could see that being a nice option for sure. Possibly you didn't have any of those, but you had a friend who was slightly worse. Oh yeah, friends like that. You had a friend who was slightly worse at you at every game growing up, so it was fun. But you'd want constant rematches until he finally won, then would talk so much shit and thought it was hilarious. You're so crappy, but 20-1. I want to play co-op games now. I feel that. I feel you there. No, that's definitely, it's unfortunately relatively prevalent in the gaming community, because, I don't know, I've never been one for trash talking in general, but I'm also, like, not that competitive in video games. I'm way more competitive in sports and board games as well. Weirdly competitive in board games. I guess not that weirdly, but it's probably something to do with the fact that I've had siblings growing up, and those were the avenues that we usually played with. My brother and I prefer co-op games for the most part. I think we used to play like StarCraft against each other a little bit here or there, but we mainly enjoy cooperative experiences. But board games and sports, that's where I made all my money back. That's where I got really competitive with my family members. Okie dokie, decent amount of damage coming our way here, so we should be a little bit cautious. Could be option for my variety streams. Definitely could, yeah. I'm kind of obsessed with Cult of Lamb at the moment, mostly because I don't get a lot of time on Wednesdays these weeks. But I definitely appreciate any and all suggestions, so thanks for passing that my way. And what amulet am I wearing? Still Acrobat, so I do want to swap it. In that last shop, what was there? I guess if I even just look up amulet, I haven't found regen. Yeah, you want Guardian Spirit? I think we should go around, pick up all these, and maybe start a Guardian Spirit amulet selling business when we get out of here, because holy moly, that's up the wazoo. There is the magic regen. Yeah, I didn't notice that one, or it didn't register for me. I could go with that. The Acrobat has kind of been saving our butts, and we do have channel magic, so it's a little less necessary. But let's at the very least travel back there real quick, and let's mark it off, because I might come back for it in the near future here. I'll decide probably by like the end of this floor. Do I stream or play Tales of Majal at all? haven't streamed it. I think I tried out the game before I started streaming for sure, but I did play a bit of it, and I remembered it being enjoyable. It never quite hooked me in the same way as DCSS. I couldn't even put into words exactly what the reasoning is for that. For whatever reason, DCSS has hooked me in a way that no other dungeon crawler really has, or no other game really, that I just keep coming back to every few years. But I do remember enjoying Meow. But let's start learning a bit of air magic here and just bring it up. I guess 8's not that much. I'm kind of, if I resort or if I go this direction, it's unlikely that I'll have ignition up at any time. How do I feel about that? Don't really need ignition with like a really good manifold assault build, so that's probably fine. The boss level DCSS has the most focus on combat in a roguelike you've seen, really cuts away a lot of the bloat. Definitely, and yeah, a lot of focus on kind of the high-level strategic ideas of it. You know, knowing when to go into a fight, knowing when to run away. Positioning is hugely important, especially with a lot of the changes they made in like 0.25 or whatever to spellcasting. But yeah, I think it's pretty great. And Koya, you mentioned as well that it has pretty great quality of life features. But the thing about that is I started playing this game when it did not have all those features. But I would definitely agree that that's a huge selling point for it now. I mean, in general, the game is just super well put together. Absolutely adore every aspect of it, which is why we're here every week. Kind of makes sense that I love it at the end of the day. Let's see. +1 glaive of pain. Shouldn't be too shabby for us to deal with here. We'll just blast you real quick. Excuse me, pardon me. And just terrifying. Watching this statue kitty just slowly lumber towards you, arrows deflecting off of its rippling stone. I guess not biceps or abs, that'd be weird if your cat had those, even in statue form. But just truly daunting and terrifying our approach there. Love to see it. And longsword electrocution, totally fine by me. That is 100% manageable. And oof, 100% manageable, he said. Almost dies. Let's see, can I be quite as cocky this time? I don't think so. We could go for a blink, and we either end up closer to it or around the corner, either of which I'm okay with. Beautiful. Terrifying in a different way there, where we just immediately teleport behind you, nothing personnel kid. Beautiful. Did I play around victory dancing? I think I'm missing something there. In DCSS, or is that a different game, or... I guess maybe that just means short answer is probably not, because I don't know what that entails. Definitely let me know. In DCSS, victory dancing. I feel like I should know what it is then. And after talking up how much I've played the game, there are still always little things here or there that catch me by surprise. No, yeah, I'm not too sure what that is. But there we go, Vaults 1 just about finished off, and definitely not too shabby at the end of the day there. I didn't feel insecure with our chances at any time, so that's a huge improvement over the majority of places we've been to recently. Let's see, air magic just up to 4. That already brings us up to, or rather brings us down to 36% failure rate on storm form. Okay, that's definitely, yeah, falling fast, so we should be good with that 7 actually. That's beautiful. The Majel is a bit more complex because you do unlock things for future runs, and also has a type of bank system. Yeah, so it has that meta progression for sure that honestly, like a lot of, I guess mostly, if not all, roguelites these days have a similar thing. It also has more focus on campaign. They have, you think, at least 3 different campaigns you could do on top of an endless dungeon mode. They also use the morality system when you do things in the world. Like if you're a notorious killer, some towns won't speak to you and can even immediately be aggressive. I like that. I do. That definitely sounds like a different kind of enjoyment from what I get out of DCSS, but I'm always a sucker for a good RPG. So maybe I'll have to go back to Majel at some point. I feel like it even potentially was in like an earlier state of release back when I played it. So I'm curious what all has progressed and changed. But the item vault tags your character sheet though and is 100% optional. Very cool. Even the fact that you mentioned it as character sheet gets me interested because I'm a sucker for D&D. And that's exactly, it sounds a bit more similar to that, which I'm always happy for. A bit more of the classic RPG experience. Okie dokie. Hello, my slimy friends. Not too shabby there whatsoever. In point 8 and earlier, senselessly repeating an action when your XP pool has XP in it in order to spend XP on the skill associated with that action. Oh yeah, okay. I do remember that. I don't think I ever really took advantage of it. But I do remember reading about that back when I was first learning. I don't think I ever got to a point back then where I was any good at the game, and so it would have been wasted on me anyway. But thanks to that reminder, Colgate, I totally forgot about that. There's so many early features in this game that I love to be reminded of, because good times. I mean, I love the state of the game now, and I'd never really go back, I don't think, but it is a nice nostalgic reminder. And yeah, you're not even comparing the games either, Boss Level. At this point, they're so different, you can't say that you enjoy one or the other. You like them both for what they are, for sure. Classic walking back and forth in place, the train traps and doors. See, oh, I do remember that, because even finding secret doors and just going to the corners of those weird little corners of the map and just walking back and forth over and over. Oh, good times, good times. Yeah, the Elder Scrolls skill philosophy just jumped constantly. Yeah, bringing me back to the Morrowind days. For example, cast a magic dart at the wall, evoking blink off an artifact, hitting a plant. Yeah, no, I do. These are, now it's starting to get more familiar to me. And that brings you nightmares of trying to figure out grinding in Final Fantasy Tactics as a kid. Yeah, I'm glad, generally I'm not a fan of like needless grinding, so I'm always happy when those changes have been made, because it's not, definitely not quite for me. Okay, you are 110 damage. Right. I mean, fortunately we can most likely, yeah, just blow you back into oblivion, and then we're in a nice open space, so I keep expecting you to break into pieces, my friend. How about that? You know what, let's just close the door in your face. Beautiful. Reset that encounter before we do anything too silly. Okay, you died with Tornado once because you held down dot while letting a Halcon kick and hit you to train shields. Oh man. Marwyn gave you a bad habit of spamming jump in all your games boss level. Apparently it gives people motion sickness when they watch. Oh no. But I definitely can empathize with that. I feel that for sure. I always wanted to just have the craziest jumping on my characters in Morrowind, to the point where you could get up on ledges that you weren't expected to and could do all sorts of wacky shenanigans. And Tales of Majel 4 isn't really a band like Tome 2, but is that still Tales of Majel Tome? I feel like it is. But it has a lot of Fernaband, Zangband roots still, very different from DCSS for sure. Makes sense. Probably you haven't heard horror stories about what Krull used to be. It's a wonder how it lived long enough to become this great game. Oh yeah. And don't get me wrong, there were some wonderful things as well. Oh, you have poison resistance. That's a shame, my friend. Let's take these two upstairs. Definitely was in a rougher spot. I mean, there are some things that I miss, but I don't think have a great place in the current iteration of the game. Things like being able to evaporate bodies into potions and to throw potions at enemies. It's all good fun. But yeah, I would definitely say that I enjoy where the game is at now more than where it was, even with that those nostalgia rose-tinted goggles coming on every once in a while. And yeah, Tome is okay. Yeah. And yeah, Necrol, you vividly remember Miss Evaporate Fulsome Distillation? Oh, heck yeah. Especially since I loved Mutation Roulette, and so being able to kill a Sky Beast and then evaporate its body just to chug that bad boy down is truly a wondrous experience. But Tome 2 was Troubles of Middle-earth. The other was Tome 2, all that changed between them was the name. Oh, interesting. You've only played Tome 4 and not that much of either. Narkowski, you think that DCSS .12 and .16 are still worth playing? The game was good then, too, just different. Nice, I think that's fair enough for sure. I think I would miss out on some of the quality of life improvements, but I do remember that was probably... Both of those were probably times that I was actively playing the game, because I started... Yeah, when would that have been? In like 2008, 2009? Somewhere around there. Played for a year or two, ended up kind of forgetting about it, getting distracted with other games or what have you, and then only coming back to it every few years after that until the most recent return to form, in which we've just started to run with it. I think I actually, in this last time I came back to it a few years ago, I was actually good at the game finally, and so that made it way more interesting. Because back in the day, it was largely me just fooling around and doing silly things. Which is great as well, don't get me wrong. But not quite the same mythology. Or methodology. Say if you do in every Elder Scrolls, you're going to be a pure caster illusionist this run, or maybe a heavy armor knight. 10 minutes later, as you break into someone's house to steal their silverware, stealth archer it is. Ah, yes, the classic experience. I mean, I learned that early, because even, I remember in Morrowind, I don't even remember the names of places very well. I should return to that game at some point and give myself a refresher. But I remember that there was always on one of the starting paths, there was a giant castle. And so it was not in the direction of the main quest, but every time I landed on the island, I immediately would head there, steal everything off the table of a shopkeeper that was just in like the foyer of the castle area, and that's how it started every run ever. Even if I don't go with stealth archer, it's always going to be a pickpocket. A bit of a klepto when it comes to any Elder Scrolls game. I think that was a big reason why I didn't have interest in the MMORPG version of Elder Scrolls. Because I was like, if it's multiplayer, it's built around balance. And if it's built around balance, I probably can't break the game by stealing stuff. So why would I even play? I'm sure it would have been a lot of fun in its own right, but it didn't quite tickle the main reason that I played Elder Scroll games, which was to just do silly things and get into ridiculous misadventures as much as possible. Unarmed combat not showing damage rating in 0.29 already bothers you. And dude, mute potions from Sky Beasts were hella fun. Pakellas as a god was so OP, but also so fun. I don't know if I ever worshipped Pakellas, but yeah, I was a sucker for those Sky Beast bodies. I mean, even just eating the mutagenic meat at the end of the day. Anything I could to roll those mutation dice. Man, those were definitely the days. Again, I probably am way happier to play the game in its current iteration, but it was fun in its own way, for sure. A different kind of fun. Koi, you would not play even 0.28 anymore, as it does not show damage ratings at all, and that's quite annoying. Yeah, I've liked all the changes that have added more kind of explicit knowledge to the game. You know, even the fact that in this version now, I love that I don't need to constantly try and remember how much damage a flail does, and instead it just adds the flail damage into this total here. Perfect. That's a chef's kiss from me, for sure. Makes it a heck of a lot more playable, especially for like new players. I can imagine it's a lot easier to get into the game nowadays than it was back then. Morrowind on Xbox, that had a huge game file size issue. Everything you stole, every item on the ground, every open door, made the file bigger, so if you wanted an extended playthrough, you couldn't rob people. What? Morrowind couldn't rob people? Literally unplayable. That's really funny though. After some point the game file gets so big the Xbox doesn't have enough RAM to play the playthrough, and you gotta start all over. Oof. That is rough. Oh, technical limitations. Definitely don't miss that. Oh gosh. That could be a lot of cold damage coming my way. I think I do need to switch over to at least protection from cold, and yeah, that might also just not be enough. Huh. Well, this got real nasty real fast. You have 60 health, my friends? That's too much. Or guess you'd much rather see the actual die rolls than a flat max damage number, personally. Fair enough, fair enough. That can be in the next one. Oh man, technical limitations are so funny in general. Like, even the fact that save cartridges and stuff used to be external. At one point on my PS2, I lost my save cartridge, the only one I had. And that was around the same time that me and a friend really wanted to play through, I think it was Silent Hill 4? Maybe 3. But one of the Silent Hill games. And we decided, let's just go for it. And we basically did like a fun challenge run that would probably be uploaded to YouTube in this day and age, where we had to get through without being able to save. And it was awesome, except we got to the very final fight of the game, the final boss fight, and it froze and crashed. And that was a bit demoralizing, shall we say, unfortunately. But I'll always remember that sequence of events, because that was a few weeks of just hardcore grinding Silent Hill, and you couldn't make any mistakes, especially when the mannequins got all uppity. Koya, the only reason you play .29 is because your trunk game is worshipping Luganu, and you keep it around to try the Luganu rework once that comes to trunk. Nice, yeah. Boss level, you somehow managed to get 1,000 plus hours on it, though. Your favorite game as a kid. Yeah, Morrowind was one of the games that my brother had. And so, by extension, I also had it. When I got his old computer at one point when he moved out for university, that became my mainstay. Because it was just so freaking good. Oh, man. I really am going to have to return and play Morrowind at some point. So much good world building in that game. I love when the wizard falls from the sky and you get that incredible light spell. Oh man. You love the story? You read all the books? Yeah, nice. No, I still do that. Even in Skyrim and stuff, I enjoy paging my way through books in the video game. As nerdy as that is. But okay, I guess I should focus a little bit on this situation. I was distracting myself with all the lovely comments instead of spreading myself over how terrifying this is about to become. I could blink, but there's no guarantee I survive that either, because I'd have to blink down here, Yak would still get a hit on me, and then I'd have to try to outrun these sons of guns. Hopefully statue form runs out would be ideal, but more likely I'd have to try and cancel it and hobble my way over. I guess the other option is to fear these sons of guns. At least gets the frost hearts off my back? No? Gosh darn it. Oh yeah, you think Heroes of Might and Magic 2 was your favorite game as a kid? It was pretty brave of me. Well, I'll go just casually. Jeez, I can't read or talk. It was pretty brave of me a while ago for just casually letting enemies step on Zot trap in my line of sight. You know, some people may call me a hero. Yeah. Fortunately, nothing terrible happened. That's the thing, nothing does when you just have blind ignorance and faith. Lost Level Skyrim felt a little empty to you, but it was still a lot of fun. Strongly disliked the randomly generated dungeons. Yeah, I don't think it didn't have quite the same magic, but it had a different kind of je ne sais quoi about it. I loved the environment of Skyrim. Like, just even though nothing was happening all the time in the outside world, I, for the longest time, never fast traveled in that game. And instead, just, actually, what I should do is, yeah, read a teleport. What the heck am I doing? But instead, I forced myself to walk literally everywhere, and I found that to be a lot of fun. But I would have to agree with you that it definitely felt a little empty at times. And just like scaling and stuff, like having everything scaled to you is great, especially in the modern era of gaming. But there was something fun back in the day about being able to do silly things like know exactly where that incredible treasure was and get it way earlier than you had any right to. Feel a bit more experienced. Not too bad. Well, there we go. We got through. Your scroll coming in clutch. Definitely appreciate that. It is somehow anticlimactic when I look at terrified that you messed up and let enemies step on a Zot trap and all that happens is you're allowed Zot. You know, sometimes anticlimactic, totally fine by me. Anything to survive.